Alright guys, what's going on? So today's video, we're finally going to fix the actually biggest issue with the Foxbody. I know I say it all the time, but realistically the thing that is always an issue with this car, always has been, and I talk about it all the time, and you guys probably think I just don't care, don't know how to fix it, is the overheating issue with this thing. So this car's actually pretty much ran hot since I've owned it. The entire duration of my ownership of this car, it's always seemed to run. It's fluctuated. On super cold mornings, it'll be 140 degrees. Hot, super hot days, it'll be up to like 220 plus, which is horrible with this thing. So we're definitely going to be fixing that today because we got one of these, finally. So the guys over at CarPartscom were nice enough to help me out with a radiator on this car. I was gonna just refurb a stock one or do like a contour fan setup, which is pretty popular with these cars. But I decided to kind of skip that whole process because we're gonna plan on building this into a semi-track car, like a street autocross car basically. And I wanted to be able to hot lap the thing. And to hot lap it, I wanted to get the biggest, baddest cooling setup that I could possibly find to get in this car. That's where CarPartscom came in the clutch with this thing. So let's go ahead and open it up, show you guys what we got. All right. So this is, like I said, it's not a stock setup. This is a Proform radiator, pretty heavy. You'll notice pretty much right away when I open this box, the absolute size of this thing. You can probably tell just by the width of this box. And as you can tell, I have not seen it yet. Oh my God, this thing is gnarly. Oh, okay, I'm gonna try, let's see, how do I wanna get this out? We're not gonna overheat anymore. So that's basically like a contour setup, but it's a lot better. So, oh, I didn't notice that. Look at that, it's got an adjustable variable speed thing on it. Wow. Okay, I'm gonna lay this all out and kind of go over it. This thing's pretty gnarly, I will admit. Oh my gosh. Okay, so one of the other things it needs, pretty much like I said, we've gone through all the entire suspension on the car for the most part, but the one thing that we totally skipped over were the lower arms and the ball joints on it with the spindles. So what we have is a set of brand new Moog control arms, which were actually in stock CarParts.com, which is really awesome. So we're gonna go and open these up, go over them, kind of show you what's a little bit better than just a regular stock one. Man, look at that. So the nice thing about these arms is they come pre-powder coated, all the bushings are already installed. I don't know if you've ever gotten a set of control arms that have to put ball joints and or the actual bushings in yourself. It sucks, it's terrible, it takes forever. So these are already pre-installed, ready to go. The cast on that and everything, all you need to do is grab a cotter pin and bolt them on pretty much, which is really nice. Save us a lot of time, and we should be able to get rocking on these things pretty quickly. So these things even come already with the Zerk fitting and the cotter pin. And a lot of times they don't. A lot of times you'll get an arm when it has a grease fitting on the bottom of it, and it won't come with this, and it won't come with the cotter pin for the castle nut, or even the castle nut sometimes. I've had that, which is super annoying. But the nice thing about these also, as you guys can see, it already has a pre-installed dust boot. Ball joint's already seated. It's already sealed up, ready to go for you guys. And this will go really, really nicely in the car. I don't have to spend a bunch of time painting it. The stuff is hardened studs on it, so you don't have to worry about shearing a ball joint or anything crazy. So the bushings that come pre-installed in this is one of Moog's actual benefits, is you get a stiffness optimized bushing that's actually focused on ride quality. So these will be more on the stiffer side, but not quite poly. So a lot of you guys don't want to go to a full poly bushing. They still want to stay with a regular one because it's a daily driver and whatnot, which mine is. But these are more on the stiff side, so you can actually have a performance-orientated arm that also focuses on ride quality, so it won't rattle my teeth out of my head, which is definitely what I need. All the part numbers on them are laser etched, which are super easy to read. A lot of them come spray painted or just a sticker and they peel off instantly, so if you have an issue with them, you know exactly what part number it is, which is really nice to have. One of my biggest concerns with the Galaxy that I had recently is I got just a bunch of cheap generic bushings to put in it and ball joints, and the one thing I noticed is instantaneously, probably about 2 months or so, bushing on the outside, or the rubber collar on the outside of this ball joint, was completely corroded and cracked and, you know, dried out and already ruined basically. Well, Moog actually has over 50 dedicated engineers that worked on the composites that go into this control arm to make sure that it doesn't rot or degrade or crack or get ruined after a year of just driving. A lot of times when you get an arm like this, you need to go in and paint it and do a bunch of stuff to make sure that rust doesn't come back. You don't crawl into your car within a month and it's completely rusty because it wasn't coated from the factory. All that stuff's already done for you. It comes in a pretty much bolt-in ready application. So we're gonna go ahead and get the Foxbody up in the air and bolt these things up. Car Parts offers hundreds of different parts for hundreds of different vehicles, and you can go to their website, click the link down in the description, and go ahead and go off to the side. Look for whatever category you're looking for, select your vehicle, trim package, engine, and go ahead and look for exactly what you want to find. They carry all the little nitty-gritty details that you won't be able to find in a generic hardware store or auto parts store, and everything is in stock, guaranteed to fit with reviews, and you can go ahead and add it to your cart and ship it right to your front door. So here you can see the radiator that we actually picked up for this video. You can see the list price versus the price that we actually have on here. They shipped it to my door. They have a date it's going to be there by. All the specifications that were really needed to figure out if this thing was going to be worth it are already there, and all the models that it was going to work on, so I knew it was going to fit. All of that and more can be found at CarPartscom, and I wanted to give a massive thank you for them for making this happen. Do me a massive favor and go down in the description of my video, click the link, and browse some of their products. You'd be surprised at what you might be able to find. So the way that I'm probably going to do this, like I said, but I'm basically going to split the spindle, and then I'm just going to do it to where I split the display bar, spindle, leave the brake with the coilover so that holds everything, and then I'm just going to make sure I mark the caster adjustment on the bottom on the control arm, and then just unbolt it and then pull the whole assembly out, put it back under, because I don't feel like bleeding brakes and doing all that stuff. There's no need to. So yeah, it should go by pretty smoothly. All right, so the one thing I want to make sure I mention is if you guys are not on coilovers, you're still on a stock coilover with a generic McPherson Struts style shock on it. You will have to undo these two bolts and do it the old school way and lower the whole spindle with it. Split the spindle at the bottom and then swap it over. Because I'm on a coilover, it makes it way easier to do it this way. If you do it this way with a spring, it will shoot the control arm down. You cannot do it this way with a spring. So if you guys are on coilovers, this is the way to do it. But I'm gonna go ahead and just basically, like I said, coils, you gotta undo these two bolts, do it the old school way. This way I can just split it, and this coilover is fully drooped out right now. It is not under any tension. So that'll make it super easy when I'm going ahead and splitting this, because it won't shoot down on it. Do it and take the sway bar off real quick. And then I'm gonna go ahead and crack the lower ball joint on the bottom. I'm gonna loosen it a little bit. I'm not gonna loosen it all the way. Pull the castle nut up to the top, split it back here so when it slams down, it doesn't fall on my knee and break it. And then I can just loosen it from there. So. Broke the extension like immediately. Don't buy cheap tools. On a scale from 1 to tight, I'd say that was a pretty dang tight lower control arm bolt, but this is why you don't buy Harbor Freight junk. Junk! Alright guys, so now you can take a look at what the difference is between the old and the new one. So, this is the one that came off the car, obviously, and you can see this ball joint part is very blown out. I should not be able to just casually move it like that. It moves up and down all around. You can see there's no seal left. You can see the difference right here. This has a protective collar to make sure that the ball joint actually lasts long, versus this one, which does not. So it's probably why this thing wore out so quickly. I don't know how old this thing is, but it's definitely not looking too good. Also, the bottom of this, it's non-greasable. You can see there's no grease fitting right there. Our new one right here from Moog, we have a greasable fitting on the bottom. Awesome. So you can see a different finish. Looks a lot better. It's got the same mounts all the way around. And our bushings are brand new. We have torn up bushings on this one. We're gonna go ahead and get those all replaced. So let's go ahead and throw this thing on. Alright guys, new arms are in. That actually went pretty smoothly. You guys saw I pretty much did it in one shot with a time lapse, so it's not that hard. You just kind of walk through it and just basically unbolt, rebolt stuff. That process went really smooth. All the Moog stuff fit perfectly. I have an appointment today at 10 a.m. to get this car lined, so we're gonna basically go take it lined, come back, do the radiator. So hopefully that goes pretty well. I'm pretty sure my numbers are completely off right now. I still think it's towed out. I think the camber's messed up. We're gonna fix everything and then we'll fit all the wheels. You can see the fitment's not as good anymore. I took the spacers off, so we're gonna go get it on the line, see what the numbers are, fix the fitment, all that good stuff. drive so much better. You gotta keep in mind this thing's on coilovers too, and the thing just drives awesome. It's like a brand new car, honestly. It sounds kind of ridiculous, but I could actually relate this to a newer Mustang because I've actually driven like a new S550. The front end feels pretty much identical in terms of how the dampening is, the suspension, and just the stiffness of everything. I mean, it is all new, but the stuff works really well. So we're headed down to actually Grossmont High School of all places, which is really kind of funny. One of my buddies, Nate, gets access to the alignment rack, so hopefully we can dial it into exactly the specs that I want, and we can kind of get underneath it and see what's wrong with it, if there is any issues, and we can fix them. So yeah. I've never put this car in a rack before. Paint looks pretty good though. Alrighty, just got the car aligned, thanks to Nate. Can't really film in here too much, which is kind of unfortunate, so I couldn't really film the process, but I'll show you the numbers when we get back home. So you can tell our alignment's a lot better now. No hands on the wheel, it pretty much follows the curvature of the road, which is good. Nate did a good job. So thank you, Nate. Did go what you had to work with, so now we're gonna head back home, go to get that radiator installed, and this thing should be ready to drive pretty much anywhere. I'm stoked, the thing drives awesome. Turns about 2,000 RPM at 70, that's pretty good. So, definitely a driver. Just had to roll this thing out here, get some decent shots of it. Man, this thing looks good. You can see the fit and finish of everything is perfect. Oh my gosh, look at that logo on the side. So the fan is actually part of this radiator, which I thought was really, really cool. It's got a full billet aluminum cap, which is super nice. Everything is just incredibly crafted. The way everything's shaped, it's gonna be functional. It's even got these slats going down the side of the shroud, so when you're moving, it'll allow for extra airflow through this thing, which I'm super stoked about. It even has a fan controller right there, which will tell us basically, which we can actually use to adjust what temperature we want that fan to kick on at. So if it's coming on too early on a cold day, we can actually go underneath the hood, change that thing to a higher temperature so I can keep the fan off for longer or have it come on earlier. So it's actually really controllable. Has a full relay box set up inside of it and a lot of other goodies. So let's get into this. So one of the nice things about this is it actually has its own harness and plug and relay box. So basically you have your fan temp controller up here, which will go down and power into this relay box, and then all your power outs, and basically they're all color coded in the manual they give you. It's pretty straightforward, so we're gonna go ahead and wire this thing up and drop it in the car. So I'm pretty happy. This thing's definitely much needed for this car. So we can actually start beating on this thing a lot harder and not having to worry about it getting too hot. So I'm stoked. This thing's gonna look immaculate underneath the hood. Just look at that thing. It's like eye candy. So this is what I was talking about with the harness. They give you the other end of the plug with plenty of length to actually get where they need to go, which is nice. Nothing more annoying than having 5 inches of wire off the plug to run to. So that's really good. That'll make things a lot easier. And they give you the manual, which basically tells you everything about it, what you need to know, all the benefits from it. There's, you can see the inside of that relay box, and everything is labeled and color coded, which you can see, which makes this thing super easy to install and how to actually mount it up. So this thing should be pretty straightforward. I'm excited to put this thing in the car, and we're gonna fix this thing finally. All right, so if you guys aren't familiar with the engine bay setup in this thing, it's just a 5-liter 4. It's pretty basic. There's not really too much done to it. It has been rebuilt with a mild cam, GT40 upper, lower, and heads, but it's probably, I think it's like a 9.2 to 1 motor-ish, but it's not that crazy, but it's enough to where it gets hot under the stock setup. It's a stock 5.0 radiator, just a generic fan. So this fan, I think, is probably the biggest issue that's going on, which this new fan on this radiator will be much, much stronger. So I'm gonna go ahead and do right now is go and drain out the coolant, pull out this radiator, show you guys a comparison between the old one and new one, and get that new one installed. And this is the part where I spill water probably everywhere, but maybe, I don't know, we'll see. I got the bucket, I have no clue if I'm gonna make it into the bucket. Knowing my luck, it'll probably overflow that bucket, but I'm willing to try. Oh, that's okay. I mean, that's not bad. It's kind of missing. That's totally gonna overflow that. Okay, I think I actually did it without spilling water literally everywhere. So I'm gonna let that drain and then get ready to unbolt this thing. Minimal messes, baby, let's go. It's like a new record. All right, now I got a bunch of room to work around here, which is nice. So while I'm in here, I'm gonna go ahead and wipe everything down and clean some of the spots I wasn't able to get to. Probably clean underneath the bottom part of the motor and the balancer, and go ahead and touch up paint some of the things that need to get painted. We'll go ahead and drop a new radiator on. actually far enough to where I can put coolant in it, which is crazy to think because I started this like 20 minutes ago. And this is one of those things where this radiator is so well designed, it just unbolts and rebolts in, and it's a completely different configuration than the other one, which shows they went a lot of time into actually building it. This thing's a very good piece. I'm very impressed with the ease of use and ease of installation. I was figuring for sure I was gonna have to modify these upper mounts. I didn't. The only thing I had to do was just bend them down like barely anything, which is, you know, minuscule. I went ahead and I threw in some 1/8 inch, or not 1/8 inch, 16th inch pieces of rubber, just to give it something so it's not squeaking. You don't have to, but I just did. I'm gonna reuse my old coolant because I literally just changed it. It's like brand new. So I'm gonna go ahead and pour that into here. Try not to spill it all over my battery. It's probably going to do anyway. Oh, there we go. All right, lift off. Doing good so far. I didn't even check to see if the petcock was open or closed. I'm just gonna assume it's closed. Oh, so spilt a little bit. We're good. Look at that. Oh, this is beautiful. This is going way better than I thought it was going to. All right, we'll stop there. Check to see. Whoop, dang it. Okay, before I get ahead of myself. All right, we're about 60%, which is good. So that means I'll have to run to the store and grab a little bit more. So I got our ground and our positively just kind of mocked up right now. So in theory, this is our blue wire, which is our manual override. So I'm gonna put this thing on a switch just in case I want to leave it on when the car is off. So in theory, if I put a positive lead on this, which is basically a switch, you should hear the relay inside this radiator turn on. It has its own built-in, so I should hear this thing turn on. Nice. Yeah, that thing's, wow, that thing moves some serious air. You can hear the relay. So that clicks on, which is good. So I'll basically run this to my stock switch because I had my own radiator switch just mounted to basically 12 volt power with a switch going to it. I didn't have a relay for a while. That was another issue that I was having. So I'm just gonna wire this up directly to here, and I already have a switch inside the car. So if I hook this wire to this, go inside the car, that switch should work, so which is good. The only thing I need after that is our AC controls, which our AC is actually not working. So I'm just gonna spool that wire up for right now and save it for later. And then our key on. So I'll have to figure out which one of these wires is key on, because my harness is not stock at all. Alrighty, so we just got this thing all wired up. Looks awesome in there in the daylight. This thing is just a super pleasant looking radiator. I like the way it sits nice and low. So I'm gonna go ahead and fire this thing up, let it bleed out, and possibly go take it around the block, make sure it all works. See our fan just kicked on, and I can literally watch the gauge go down. You can very slowly see that it's going from 190 to 185, and it'll continue to drop until the fan kicks back off. That's so cool. It never did that. That is for sure. Yeah, now we're down to 185. That's freaking sick. Yeah, coolant level just finally dropped. Thermostat open. Fan's running. That thing's pushing some serious air. Oh yeah, this is so much better. Love it. Yeah, we've gone from 200 basically down to 168 just idling. So the fan just shut off, and now it'll basically cruise back up until it needs to get on again. So this is cool. Upgrades, people. Upgrades. Oh, it's so nice. We also went ahead and got new lights all the way across, which is pretty rad. The old headlights, the brights didn't work, so these look similar in the daytime, but at night they're a lot brighter, which is nice. So I can actually see now, so that's pretty cool. Things from headlights to exhaust systems, big badass radiators to stock ones, they have you covered. CarPartscom has everything that you could possibly imagine for your vehicle. Whether you're looking for something aftermarket or something stock, CarParts carries it in stock and a wide selection on their online store. They carry thousands of different parts for thousands of different vehicles, and the best part is everything is typically in stock for you guys to ship the next day. You'll see it within a few days time, which is really awesome. CarPartscom is what supplied everything for this video and made this whole thing happen, so massive shout out to them. They got everything here very, very quickly with no issues whatsoever. Alrighty guys, I'm pumped. This thing seems to run way better, stays cool. I don't have any sort of overheating issues. The one thing that I noticed consistently is once this thing would ever get up to a temperature, if you were stopped, it would never go back down. Whether you turn the fan on or not, you would have to be moving to get that temperature to go back down. So that's the biggest change I've noticed with this radiator. Second that fan comes on, you can literally watch it in seconds come down 5-10 degrees. So that means I should be able to sit in traffic no problem, which was a big issue with this car. I had to dodge and weave freeways with traffic in them. That was like a big problem I was having. So that's finally fixed. When the fan's on, it'll come all the way down to 160 and then it'll basically creep back up to about 180, kick the fan back on. So it'll basically hover between 160 and 180 because that's what I have it set at right now. I think the factory setting is supposed to be closer to 200. I might raise it up to like 190 to get it to run around there, but I got to play with it and actually drive it around. However, I want to save the driving for an actual driving video. I think the next one I'm going to do, I'm going to go take a mountain road and cruise on this thing and actually beat on it a little bit, test this thing out. So stay tuned for that video. I want to give this thing actual justice and take it on an actual drive without making this video 40 minutes long. So that being said, thank you guys a ton for watching today's video. Massive thank you to CarPartscom. You can get yourself this and a ton of other products for any sort of vehicle you have just by going down in the description and clicking that link. It'll take you there and you can shop for different parts for your vehicle. The guys over at CarPartscom really killed it with this one. This is an amazing product. Take it from me. This is going to work so much better than what was in here before. And they have tons of different products for tons of different vehicles. So there's not a vehicle you guys have that they will not have a part for. So go check it out. With that being said, thank you guys a ton for watching today's video. Leave a like if you did go on and enjoyed today's video. Let me do a thing down in the comments below. I'll see you guys in the next video driving the Foxbody.